Sometimes the things that haunt us in our nightmares are far more terrifying than anything we could imagine. Because sometimes nightmares aren't just dreams, they're warnings. Here are 3 disturbing true horror stories where nightmares became reality. Number 3. The Nightmare and the Aftermath. Helen had been having the same nightmare for weeks. In her dream, she was trapped in an old Victorian house with no windows or doors, just like the one she grew up in. And then out of the corner of her eye, she would see a figure moving around the room. All was staying just out of sight. Helen would try to get away from the shadowy figure by running towards the only exit, but then she would wake up. Helen had shared her nightmare with her husband, Mark, who had reassured her it was just a dream. But still, the constant dread that accompanied the dreams was seeping into her days. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her, waiting for the right moment to strike. The fear intensified, turning into a full-blown phobia of the dark. She started sleeping during the day and locked herself in Mark's office at night. Mark, though initially supportive, grew tired of Helen's constant fear-ridden state. He urged her to seek professional help, but she refused. One evening, Helen went to bed early, knowing Mark would be working late. As she lay in the darkness, the familiar sense of dread washed over her. She tried to distract herself by reading, but the words blurred before her eyes. Just as she was drifting off, she heard a noise in the attic above her bedroom. Her heart pounded as she strained to listen. Then she heard it again, a distinct thud followed by footsteps. Paralyzed with fear, she lay in the darkness, unable to move. Suddenly, the footsteps started coming down the stairs, each step echoing in the silence. When Mark arrived home, he found Helen lying on the floor, her face rushing to her side. He noticed the overturned table and the open door leading to the attic. Fear twisted his gut. What if the nightmare she'd described was somehow manifesting in reality? He helped Helen downstairs, her eyes wide with terror. They stared at the attic door. Mark, determined to confront whatever lurked above, grabbed a baseball bat and started climbing the attic stairs. As he ascended, he heard strange noises, whispers that seemed to mock him. When he reached the top, he saw nothing. Had Helen imagined it all? Was her fear getting the best of her? Then he heard a low growl, sending chills down his spine. Something was up here, something dark and sinister. With the bat raised, Mark cautiously moved forward, each step echoing in the vast space. The growl grew louder, more menacing, and then he saw it. A large, dark shape emerged from the shadows, its eyes glowing menacingly. Mark stumbled back, his heart pounding. In that moment, he understood. The monster from Helen's nightmares had become a horrifying reality. But how? And what was it doing in their house? Mark had found more than just a monster in their attic. He'd discovered the origin of Helen's nightmares. The question now was, could they survive the horror that had invaded their home? 2. The Vanishing Hitchhiker. A young woman named Sarah had a recurring nightmare about a hitchhiker. In her dream, she would pick up a lone traveler only to find out that he was a ghost. The hitchhiker would materialize, appearing transparent and ethereal. He'd climb into the car, his touch sending a chill down Sarah's spine. Then he would vanish, leaving Sarah shaken and disoriented. The dreams were unsettling, but they didn't seem to have any connection to Sarah's waking life. That was until one fateful day when Sarah found herself driving along a deserted country road. The sun was setting, casting long shadows that danced ominously on the asphalt. Suddenly, she saw a man standing by the roadside, thumb extended, signaling for a ride. Despite her better judgment, Sarah felt compelled to stop. As the man approached the car, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she had seen him before. His face was pale, almost translucent, and his eyes were vacant, devoid of any life. Sarah hesitated, torn between her instincts telling her to drive away and a strange sense of obligation to help. The man slipped into the car and Sarah, trying to shake off the growing sense of unease, started the engine. The man remained silent, his presence heavy in the car, and then he turned to her, his eyes locking onto hers. Sarah gasped. It was the hitchhiker from her nightmares. Panic surged through her. The man's form started to shimmer, becoming transparent. He reached out, his touch icy cold. Sarah slammed on the brakes, jerking to a halt. The man vanished, leaving Sarah trembling in the driver's seat, shaken but determined to dismiss it as a bizarre coincidence. Sarah continued on her journey, but the eerie encounter left an indelible mark on her, intertwining her dreams and reality in a chilling way. The next morning, Sarah woke up from a dream. She dreamed that she saw the news report that the missing hiker had been found dead on that road. She thought maybe it was just a bad dream. After all, those kinds of things don't happen in her hometown. So she decided to check the news online. And lo and behold, there was a story about the missing hiker and how his body had been found on that very road. But there was one detail that made Sarah's blood run cold. The article stated that the hiker's car had been found abandoned several miles away from where his body was discovered. The kicker, Sarah recognized the description of the car. It was her car. Sarah realized her nightmare wasn't just a dream, it was a premonition, and the line between her reality and the nightmare was blurring. Number 1. The doll in the attic. Emma had a recurring nightmare about a haunted porcelain doll. In her dreams, the doll would come alive, its eyes glowing red as it stalked her through a dark house. Emma would try to escape, but the doll was relentless, its presence suffocating her with dread. In the morning, Emma couldn't shake off the feeling that the nightmare had bled into her waking hours. She decided to visit her childhood home, even though she hadn't been there in years. As she explored the dusty rooms, a sense of familiarity washed over her, bringing back childhood memories. However, there was a lingering feeling of unease, as if someone or something was watching her. She climbed the attic stairs, the same ones from her nightmare. The air grew colder as she stepped into the dimly lit space. Cobwebs brushed against her skin and the smell of decay filled her nostrils. And then she saw it, an antique porcelain doll sitting on a shelf. Its eyes, a startling red, seemed to glow in the dim light. Panic seized Emma. She recognized the doll. It was the same one from her nightmares. She tried to convince herself it was just a doll, an inanimate object with no life of its own, but a shiver ran down her spine. The doll looked eerily alive, determined to put her fears to rest. Emma picked up the doll. Its surface was freezing cold, sending a jolt of fear through her. As she held the doll, she felt an overwhelming sense of dread. And then it happened. The doll's head turned, its red eyes staring directly at her. Emma dropped the doll, stumbling back in terror. The doll lay on the floor, its head facing upwards, its eyes gleaming ominously. Shaken to her core, Emma fled the attic, the image of the doll seared into her mind. Back in the present, Emma couldn't escape the feeling that the doll had somehow invaded her reality. The line between dream and wakefulness had become frighteningly thin. Was the doll haunting her? And what did it want? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching.